Cliffs of Dover is one of those timeless guitar instrumentals that has never stopped inspiring players. It's got an infectious melody that's played with amazing tone and touch, and it's packed with signature techniques that made Eric Johnson a Grammy-winning icon in the guitar world. Today, we're going to break down 3 of those strategies, and the best part is they're completely accessible to many levels of players from advanced beginners on up. Now, I want to be clear, this isn't just about memorizing some licks. I'm going to give you musical concepts that you can use to build up your own techniques. Ideas that will open up your lead playing, give you an endless source of new ideas, and it'll put a little of that EJ magic in your lead playing. This is going to be a really fun and informative lesson, so grab that guitar. Let's get into it. So let's dig into technique 1, starting with the melody. Now this melody has been played so many times, it's kind of hardwired into our brains by now. It's so catchy and melodic. But if you look closely at what Eric plays, you find out it's built almost entirely on triads. What's not so obvious is how Eric seamlessly mixes up what we call triad inversions. Triads are 3-note chords made up of a root note and 2 notes, a third and a fifth above the root. Triads can be major, minor, diminished, or augmented. We change around the character of the 3rd and 5th intervals to get the triad types other than major. So we can take a major triad and we're going to flatten the 3rd, now it's minor. We can take a minor triad and flatten the 5th, now it's diminished. We take that major triad again and we raise the 5th, and now we've got the augmented triad. So the melody of Cliffs of Dover is played over the chord progression A minor, G, D, G, D, and E minor. Over A minor, Eric plays the notes E, A, and C, and over G major, he plays the notes D, G, and B. Then over D, he plays a triad with the notes D, F sharp, and A. So what's the significance of these triads? Well, the shapes he plays over A minor and G start on the 5th interval each time, not the root. The triads that start on the 5th and go 5th, root, and 3rd, they're called 2nd inversion triads. A triad that starts on the 3rd and goes 3rd, 5th, root, that's called 1st inversion. And in triads that start on the root and go root, 3rd, 5th, we just call those the root form. So after playing 2 2nd inversion triad shapes, he plays the root form over the D chord. And then over the next 3 chords, G, D, and E minor, he plays a 2nd inversion G, the root form of D, and then a 2nd inversion of E. And this tells me that Eric has an awesome working knowledge of triads. He knows them everywhere on the neck, and he's using them to build melodies, not just play solos. Let me show you a couple of drills that will give you the ability to do the same thing. Hey, it's Charlie. If you find yourself being a little bit overwhelmed or you feel like you don't have a great handle on things like all the different triad inversions or 7th arpeggio shapes, I've got a great course that can help you with that called the Lead Guitar Roadmap. We do deep dives into those techniques, many more, and I don't just have you memorize this stuff, I show you how to use it. If you want to get serious about improving your guitar playing, links in the description below, and as always, thanks for your support. Drill number 1, this is all about learning inversions. In Cliffs of Dover, it's in G major, so we're going to use that key. The first triad in the key, of course, is G major with the notes G, B, and D. And we've got the root form right here at the 4th position. The second triad is A minor with the notes A, C, and E. Move up 2 frets and we've got B minor with the notes B, D, and F sharp. Next is C major with the notes C, E, and G. We've got D major with the notes D, F sharp, and A. The 6th triad in the key is E minor with the notes E, G, and B. And then the 7th triad in the key is F sharp diminished with the notes F sharp, A, and C. And of course that brings us back to our root form G. Now if we play through those smoothly, it sounds like this. So that's step one. Step two of our drill is to play first inversions. Remember, those are going to start on the third interval and go third, fifth, root. So at the ninth position, we've got G major, first inversion, with the notes B, D, and G. And that gets us started, and I'm going to move through the key now. A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, and that brings us back to G. How about second inversions? Well, if we start down in the open position, we've got G major with D, G, and B. Moving on through the key, we've got A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, and we're back to G. You want to practice playing through these until you can do them smoothly in time over metronome or a backing track. And remember, so far we've just played on the D and G strings. You should be able to do this on every string set of 2 strings. And if you really want to ingrain your triads, here's a fourth step to this drill. In the key of G, there are 3 triads that have a G note in them. G major, C major, and E minor. So if we go to the G at a 5th fret of the D string, we can play G major root form with G, B, and D. We can play C major, second inversion with the notes C, G, and E. And we can play the first inversion of E minor with the notes G, B, and E. And that's similar to the move Eric does in the melody, where he plays that A minor and G major second inversions followed by the root form of D starting on the same note. I guess the point I'm trying to make is great players use this stuff. I'm not just handing out drills because I want to torture you. I don't have time in this video to demonstrate it, but you should be able to move through the whole key starting 3 different arpeggios on each note. So there's your extra homework for triads. Now the second EJ strategy that we're going to explore is how he uses pentatonic scales. And it's something I've started calling Pentatonics Plus. Eric is famous for playing odd note groupings like 5s and 7s that he weaves into licks that we've come to call cascades. Because the way he plays them, you get this rippling forward and back effect like water cascading over rocks in a stream. But I want to focus on a different aspect of his pentatonic playing, and one that I find equally fascinating. 2 things in particular I want to take a look at. The first is how he superimposes pentatonic scales that are different from the chord that he's actually soloing over to get different tonal colors. The second is how he'll add an extra note inside a pentatonic run to get different modal sounds without resorting to playing 7-note modal scales. This is an awesome way to get different sounds while continuing to use familiar patterns we already know. Let's start by looking at where this shows up in Cliffs of Dover. Now there's an interlude between the second verse and the actual guitar solo where the chords, they're vamping over G and C. And in the very first lick that Eric plays, he does a pentatonic cascade that has this tonality. And over G and C, he's actually playing B minor pentatonic. It's one of Eric's trademark techniques, using the minor pentatonic up a major third above the root of a major chord. So we get B minor over G, or E minor over C. Now, why does that work? Well, if you take B minor pentatonic, the notes B, D, E, F sharp, and A, and we stack them against a G major chord, you notice something cool. You're not playing the root or the fourth of G at all. Instead, you're getting the third, the fifth, the sixth, the major seventh, and the ninth of G major. And these are all color tones, the notes that make a chord sound rich and extended without ever landing on that plain, resolved root note. That major seventh especially gives it a shimmery, almost Lydian-ish quality. And here's the best part. Every note in B minor pentatonic is found inside the G major scale. So there's no clash, no wrong notes. It just sounds like a more sophisticated, colorful version of G major. That's exactly why this move is such a signature technique for players like Eric. It sounds adventurous and outside, but it's not. I remember thinking the first time that I heard him do this way back on his record called Tones, wondering what the heck scale did he just play there? And later feeling really silly not realizing it was just a superimposed pentatonic scale. A great way to practice this is to go pattern by pattern, starting with B minor pentatonic, and then transitioning to G major. For instance, I can play B minor pattern 1, and G major pattern 3 sits right here on top of it. When we get used to finding and transitioning between patterns like that, we can start to build out licks like this one. So that's Eric's favorite superimposition over a major chord. Over a minor chord, let's say A minor, he'll use the minor pentatonic up a fifth, which would be E minor. E minor pentatonic has the notes E, G, A, B, and D. So we lose the minor third or C from A minor, but we pick up the ninth or D. And it makes licks sound suspended and open. Lastly, on the pentatonic front, Eric will often add in an extra note to create what we call an extended pentatonic scale, or we could call it a hexatonic scale. In Cliff's, at about 308, he plays G major pentatonic scale with an F sharp or the major seventh added. Now this isn't the lick he played, but check out this EJ inspired lick that mixes up groupings of 4, 5, and 6 notes while incorporating F sharp or the major seventh into the lick. To practice this, you can go pattern by pattern, working in that major seventh, or for instance, here is the diagonal pentatonic shape, and I'm just going to weave in the F sharp here and there. Now, this brings us to a third aspect of Eric's playing, and it's one of the reasons he sounds so unique. His licks and lines seamlessly integrate different technical concepts. For instance, one of my favorite things I've ever heard him play is a part of the melody followed by a fill that starts around 152. Now, we already mentioned in the melody he's playing second inversion and root form triads. So that was a second inversion, A minor and G, the root form of D. Then he plays a shape of D where he adds an octave D on top of the triad. Then he plays a shape where he plays the root, fifth, octave, and the major third, before resolving to G to coincide with the chord progression going back to G. The progression then goes G, D, E minor, and he plays 4 notes of G major pentatonic. That in turn is followed by a cool voicing of an E minor 7th arpeggio. Put it all together and it sounds so natural and flowing that even though I just told you the parts that make up the lick, you hear it as a cohesive, integrated phrase. To me, that shows true mastery of the instrument. And it also reflects untold hours of practice and experimentation by Eric. So how can you practice developing this skill? We'll give this a try. We're going to concentrate on the first and third chord of each group of 3 in the melody. So the first 3 are A minor, G, and D. Just concentrate on A minor and D. The second 3 chords were G, D, and E minor. We're just going to focus on G and E minor. And what we're going to do is we're going to play a different technique on each chord. So on A minor, we could play a triad bass lick, adding in B or the 9th. And then a D major pentatonic lick. Over G, how about a descending major 7th arpeggio? And then followed by an E minor pentatonic thing over the E minor. So if we put that all together, we get this. It's not Eric Johnson, but that sounds darn good. And that's just one example. You want to keep moving around the neck to different positions, working out different ideas over each chord. Before long, you'll have a treasure chest full of great new licks. And something even cooler, as you continually go through the process of working out and writing licks like this, you'll start developing the ability to just improvise phrases like this too. Eric Johnson is one of the true greats of guitar. There's a reason players have been studying Cliffs of Dover for decades. But hopefully today showed you that the magic is not out of reach. Thanks for watching as always. If you got something out of this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications. I put a lesson out like this every week. Don't want you to miss one. Work hard, have fun playing that guitar. I'll catch you in the next one.